So this one's gonna be about something Reddit related. It is 2 p.m. quite, and I am at this point in time working on repairing one of the doors that I've ripped out of my closet, and I need this motorized screwdriver, whatever it is called. I don't actually know, but it's apparently needs some time to charge. And in the meantime, I'm actually willing to do something different besides using a normal screwdriver and trying to do so. Which, I mean, it's working. I've got one part of the whole door, but the rest of it, nah. Especially when your screws are flat, and you're basically trying to put something flat into like a wall or into wood, therefore, which is not the most amazing experience, which I think you can also kind of experience and see and whatnot. But yeah, so therefore we are going through something Reddit related. Let's see, I'm going to reload the page once again. Dying soon, struggling with what it means to my loved ones. Cancer will take me out in the next year or so. From a strictly stoic view, it's out of my control and I'm okay with it. I haven't told my wife or family yet because I'm struggling with the impact it will have on my loved one, which I deeply understand. I keep imagining my wife alone in a house, my kids losing their dad, my parents losing a son, etc. I know those are externals, but I need some help getting there. I'm spending my time making sure my affairs are in order to reduce the burden on them after I'm gone. So that is one benefit of the slow roll instead of being taken out by a bus, but the overwhelming part is how this will hit them. Could use some help orienting on this. I'm at peace with my own demise, but maybe not, because I'm struggling with how others will be impacted. I know that it's their path to walk, but I'm stoic and not uncaring. Which, by the way, is also kind of not a stoic thing. Like, it's not, okay, I give a fuck or don't give a fuck about anything, which is being stoic. It's actually really not. I, on one hand, additionally to that, think that, when a philosophy is saying that and you just don't want to be like that, then don't be like that. It's still in your hands, and it is still something that we can decide, and you should decide which type of person you want to be and which type of person you think is best to be. But I think in the end, what this person was talking about, which is kind of, kind of making everything right and leaving this place and leaving this earth with with not a lot of work left for other people to do, I think is one of the best things one can do in such a situation. I mean, I wouldn't like to give my people, my family, and my friends a burden after I'm dead. I mean, that I'm dead probably is a big enough hit for them, as this person also pointed out. And so I just don't want them to have to do even more work. But I think a testament, if it is called like that, I don't actually know. I mean, when you're dead, then some script that says who is getting what, your wealth and basically, well, also your debts and all of these things. And I think this is quite the only thing one can do, and leaving this place in a good manner, in terms of like, okay, just giving my people something to, well, not necessarily hold on. I wouldn't like them to hold on me, basically. I would like them to move on. I would like them to move on even in a better way and use my death as strength, actually, and using this as maybe also as a reminder that you're also going to be dead. And when this is then the case, you should have lived a happy life. And I would say communicating that as well, and not necessarily thinking about oneself, but thinking about the other person, your family, your friends, your wife, is the way to go there. I mean, you could tell them to, okay, never have another boyfriend, never have another dad, never have this and that and these and those, which, obviously depends on how old these people are. But I don't know, like, I would just give them I would just give them the right and the possibility and the, the quite also the agreeness, but well, right is not the right word, but well, quite the possibility to be happy again, even without you. You and you leaving them shouldn't be kind of a detrimental, uh, I don't know, death step for them as well. I mean, it is gonna hurt, but in the end, they should be able to live on and live a happy life. At least this is what I would like for my people to do. I don't want to be forgotten. This is not what I'm aiming at, but I want them to, keep in mind, but in such a way that it is no weight for them. That they can still move on with life, live their life, and then be as happy as they can be without a lot of weight on their shoulders. Unnecessary weight that they probably themselves are putting on their shoulders, which by you verbalizing things and saying things and pointing out things can get rid of. Well, yeah. This is my thoughts. 3 years of getting my life together, from watching my fiance die, an abusive relationship years later, and finally jail, to being a homeowner and volunteering with domestic abuse survivors. I've spent the last few years trying to turn my life around. I am a recovering addict. I watched my fiance overdose and die on the day of my little brother's funeral 7 years ago. After I ran my car into a brick wall and survived. I abused opiates in an abusive relationship that kept me trapped. I got arrested stealing food, and that was the beginning of my new life. I've been to several funerals for those who relapsed and died. My counselor and role model died in a plane crash, which also killed her father-in-law, husband, and 2 young children. I'm still here and still trying. I have struggled with PTSD and survivor's guilt, which I can definitely understand. Guilt for being here when so many others are not. But I'm still trying to do better and not give up. I own my car, I bought a condo, I have a job that I actually enjoy. I might actually be able to finish my degree this year. I have a relationship with my family. I am financially independent for the first time in my life, and I like myself most days. And this Saturday I started volunteering with domestic abuse. Well, I'm not gonna read the whole piece. I think what's being said is actually quite enough to get a whole story. But what I thought about is, but I'm still trying to do better and not give up. I mean, it is like sunk cost, Just because you in the past made a decision doesn't necessarily mean that this decision should be altering or changing or influencing a new decision that you're about to make. What I mean is, and this is an example by Seth Godin, which I believe is a pretty good one and pretty cool one, just because you have bought theater tickets, the day before, doesn't mean that when somebody comes up to you and says, well, do you want to go to the cinema with me? That you say no to it because you've already bought the theater tickets. It is a decision you've already made. And it does not make any sense that this decision influences another decision that you're doing now. It is something different, of course, when it is about, okay, I have done this before and it did me harm. So, well, this decision and this thing that I did that harmed me is, of course, going to influence my next decisions, but in a good way, And it is not the same thing. I haven't found the right words to describe what I have in my mind quite yet, but I think it is already understandable. And therefore, even though you maybe had a difficult life in the past, doesn't mean that just because of that, your future life and your present life does also have to be difficult or whatever. I mean, it's in the past, and you're gonna have it in your mind, but this doesn't necessarily have to be influencing you the way you are. Like you can still really try to be the best person you possibly can be and make a difference and help other people and whatnot, which I think in the end is going to be one of the things that one enjoys the most, even though you might be pretty wealthy and whatnot. but actually doing something that is worthwhile doing something that makes sense, doing something that helps other people, doing something that's, creating an impact on this world just in the real end. And this is what's gonna matter quite, as well as the people around you, and the smiles and the tears and the relationships and all of these things. But is it going to be money? Well, to some degree, yeah. Because this money that you're earning, it's creating experiences, and it's creating opportunities for you to experience new things. So in a way, it's also going to be one of these things that lasts very long. But it's about the experience and not about the money. The money being a way to get to experience and get to things that is gonna stay in your life, and that's gonna impact you, if this is what makes sense. I have a matter complex and I want to fix it. No if, buts, or when. I put others before myself because I feel like to feel like a hero. Often this leads to myself being harmed as I do not take care of myself. How do I begin changing this behavior? By treating yourself like you would treat a good friend of yours. The Stoic philosophy is the most complete development of practical reason. It is the highest summit to which man can attain by the mere use of his reason, or their reason. Arthur Schopenhauer on Stoicism, its strength, its flaws. There's actually a YouTube video, which sounds pretty interesting, but it is a pretty complete philosophy, as far as I have seen it. Maybe this is also one of the reasons why I like it so much, that it feels like, and it feels complete, but I do not want to say that it is kind of the only one that feels complete to me, but it's the only one that I've put, quite a lot of time into to give an opinion on. But if you're finding a philosophy and you can think in some ways that it in itself is, is not reasonable, or it is not complete, or there's like contradictions, then it's probably not a pretty good philosophy to go by and to think about. But of course, we can pick and choose. So only because, I don't know, why do we always have to be so... Well, I feel like that we often are pretty total or totalitarian. Okay, this is the philosophy and I want to go with this philosophy, and so I'm going to have to do all this philosophy says, even though it might not be one of these things that I think is smart. No, you don't have to. You can pick and choose and do whatever. I'm an extreme people pleaser, and I don't know how to break the cycle. How do I say no? It sounds stupid, but I watched a TikTok that extreme people pleasers are thieving because of past childhood trauma. It's a coping mechanism so you can avoid the drama abuse that comes from saying no. I have tried so many times to break this cycle. Each time I do get called a crazy person, and I have become a changed, selfish person, especially from my family. It's ruining my mental health. I don't get to do the things I love anymore. My energy has become depleted every day, and life just looks really gloomy, like I don't have a purpose but to be someone's servant. I don't want that type of life anymore. My depression is at an all-time low. What am I getting at is, how can I break this cycle without making people angry? I'm at my breaking point here. Well, I think in the end, it pretty much comes up to giving a fuck about whatever they say and think, which is going to lead to you doing some things that they maybe they're not pretty much going to be happy about. But in the end, you just don't give a fuck about whatever they say and think and do and whatnot. So it's going to give you the energy and the possibility and the right to still do that, because you don't just care about whatever they think or say. Because, if they say, okay, you've become a selfish person, how do they know? They don't know you, as well as you don't know them fully. Whether it is your mother, your dad, or your best friend or whatnot, there's always going to be something that you don't know about them. Period. It is just going to be the case. Nobody knows you 100% but you. And you won't know anyone 100%. It's just not possible. You would have to be in their mind, which you're not. Like it's not working. It can't work. And so, first of all, this. Second of all, maybe they're right. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but maybe they're just right. Maybe you're trying to, or maybe one is trying to break this cycle by being a certain type of person, which maybe is not quite the opposite of an extreme people pleaser. Like, well, you can be a pretty shitty person, then of course you're not an extreme people pleaser anymore, but you are a shitty person. And so I don't know. I think doing something for other people is a good thing, well, unless it is actually harming you. And then it is about balance. Like, I can understand people being like, oh, you've gotten such a bad person because you're trying to always say no and be against things. And, maybe one can overdo this then as well, going into the complete opposite, but not actually realizing it, if you understand what I mean. You will continue to suffer if you have an emotional reaction to everything that is said to you. True power is sitting back and observing everything with logic. If words control you, that means everyone else can control you. Breathe and allow things to pass, which is very meditative. And this is, by the way, a quote from Bruce Lee, or by Bruce Lee, which, well, I'm not quite sure whether he's actually that calm and that, like, water-like as maybe people or he himself portrays him. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I don't know. In the end, I can't know and will never know. But if it is the case, it's an amazing thing. And which also kind of, well, could be an answer to the last question. Just not being obsessed by words. And something which is very interesting, something that I've been talking to a friend of mine. Yeah, it's actually been yesterday, I think. Yeah. When you're hurt by words, then maybe it is because it's hurting your identity. The problem then is, what is the conversation about? If it is about an addiction, it's not good. Because then it is basically like, okay, this is hurting you because you feel like that this is your identity. And of course, it is going to hurt when it is your identity. This is who I am. I am a smoker. I am somebody that is addicted to this and that. I am this person that is this and that. I'm a person that's eating a lot of beans. And so when somebody maybe makes fun of just being vegan or just eating beans, or says beans are unhealthy, well, it's probably going to hurt me. It's probably going to do something to me, because this is part of my identity. This is part of who I am, which on one hand has something to do with, well, it basically has something to do with what you're saying to yourself. Of course, if you say, okay, I'm a person that smokes, or I'm a smoker, it is your identity. But on the other hand, which is something that I've been talking about before, like I think was something that James Clear said, the author of Atomic Habits, or somebody else, I actually don't remember. Saying I'm a smoker and I am a person that smokes is something different. I'm a person, this is who I am. And I smoke, it is something that I do, and it is not something that I am. I'm a smoker. This is my identity. I'm a bean eater. I'm someone that eats beans. It's a bit of a different thing, even though I don't know the exact wording now, which is not good. Anyway, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room. There is a quote from philosopher Blaise Pascal, which is French and I don't know how to pronounce, anyway, which I wholeheartedly agree with, that says, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. When you take time to just and be alone with your thoughts, your mind gets to purge. Constantly having noise and other stimulus coming at us causes our mind to not be able to process your thoughts. I personally feel much more anxious and restless, when I don't practice daily mind clearing. Your mileage may vary. And on the other hand, I think as well that if you don't blast yourself with stimuluses all the time, which can also be something good, at least at my point of view, which is also kind of the same point that I'm willing to make now, then you might not be able to think on your own, because you're having so many stimuluses and you're having so many opinions from other people and inspirations from other people, quote unquote inspirations, that you're unable to have your own ideas, but you're going to copy other people's ideas, which on the other hand could also be something useful. If you say like, okay, I'm going to hit myself with just any stimulus there is all the fucking time so that I have better ideas, could also work. They might not be original, but what is original nowadays anyway? Is there even an original idea? Is there something that nobody thought about before? Well, I don't think that the chance is too big. Well, there is a chance, I think. Might just not be that big, as I said. Does this look correct, especially the space between the T and the Y? Well, I just like text in general to be a bit, a bit more tightly kerned or spaced. Which, by the way, typography lesson here. If you're having text, and this text is very small, then spacing the letters themselves a bit wider than normally makes sense. Why? Because it is small text, and it looks small. And if you then compare it to something that's way bigger, but in terms of proportions is having the same spacing, it's way too big. So if you're having a big headline and you're spacing the letters of the headline more tightly, it looks better, and it's also more easily to read because you're not reading letter by letter, but the whole word. Which on the other hand, if it is a small text, it is way too tight. And allowing it to breathe a bit makes sense. So whenever you're having big text, kerning it or spacing it tighter makes sense compared to lower text, which should always be spaced a bit further or wider or bigger, whatever you want to call it. Actually needs to get outside as well. Anyway, the last one. Let's see. A long epic fantasy, something like many well-built characters, something I can get deeply into for a while. When I younger enjoyed Percy Jackson and then Heroes of Olympus, 10 excellent books. Harry Potter was such an amazing experience as well. Well, by the way, that there must be a reason for people that are readers being often quite successful, even though I don't want to generalize that. And I mean, there is something to reading. There really is something to reading. I don't know why it's quite inevitable to me. It's like, there must be something about it, no matter fucking what. Anyway. And today I learned, despite her repeated claims to be more than 85% correct, a 2013 article found that Sylvia Browne was accurate in 0 out of 33 of her predictions. For example, she predicted that she would die at age 88, and she died at age 77. Well, yeah. Okay. Not gonna say anything. It's not gonna be any response. Anyway, I haven't gotten high in a month, which is amazing. If you're able to push through those. Emotional disgust towards my emotions and my reaction towards love and affection, which is judging oneself, which is dumb or nonsensical. Don't judge yourself for being emotional. Emotions are okay. Read on emotions, read on people that are emotional, read on judging yourself and why it doesn't make any sense and why it's only making things more difficult for one, but not better. But yeah. Gonna see you the next time. I'm gonna end the episode there. I hope that I've been able to talk about some things that are of value to you, or at least interesting or entertaining. And I'm gonna see you the next time. So bye.